Hey there, today I want to challenge you to be radically curious. So how do you challenge yourself to be radically curious, and what does that even mean? Let's start off with radical curiosity. One of the things that I've been learning in my own life, and I can only speak for myself, but one of the things I've been learning in my own life is that the more curious I am about what's going on internally for me, as well as what's going on internally for another person, as well as just the world around me, that the more joy I seem to have in my own life, because things don't get all wonky and I have less drama and I have a lot more fun. So I want to talk a couple things through this quick little vlog. First thing being, let's look at proactive versus reactive. So I love Stephen Covey's work in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He didn't invent this idea, but he talks a lot about it. And it's this idea of what is the difference between proactive and reactive. So in both situations, you have a stimulus. So here's the stimulus. Something's just happened. It's a situation. Somebody said something to you. Something happened. You're having an experience, whatever that experience is. In a reactive person, there is an instant response to that. You blow up, you're happy, you're sad, you're upset, you're not upset, it doesn't matter. You have an instant response to that. In a proactive person, same exact stimulus happens, but instead of instantly having a reactive response to it, you give yourself space and time. You breathe into it. You notice what's going on, and you look at what maybe your different options are in responding to it. So your response comes after this space. You give yourself space. And this is really important, because it's in this space between the situation and your response that you can become radically curious. An example of this in my own life is to start to notice what's coming up for you. So I'm going to share a story real quick. I was driving down the road, and my husband rides a motorcycle or bicycle and has for many, many years. And so I'm very hypervigilant to two-wheelers. And I'm in my lane driving down the road, and there is a little Vespa driving right next to me. And next to the Vespa, or right behind the Vespa, is this giant Cadillac Escalade, just like he is so far up the butt of this little Vespa, I'm having a bit of a reaction to it. And mind you, in no way is this even impacting my life in any other way other than I'm seeing this situation and I don't like it. And also, I will be clear, the Vespa and the Cadillac did not seem to be having any kind of issue with each other either. So I'm watching this situation, and I'm starting to notice I'm mad. I'm feeling myself start thinking all this kind of judgmental thoughts in my head. I'm like, who drives like that? It's so disrespectful. Like, I've got all this stuff going on in my head. And I notice that I am getting wound up about this situation that has nothing to do with me. And I also know that a part of it is because my husband rides a motorcycle, and I don't like the idea of people running up on his ass while he's driving down the road. And yet, that wasn't the real issue. So I took some time. I got to my office. I laid down on the floor in my office. I shut the door and laid down on the floor. And I just took some time to breathe into what just happened with me. And as I was unpacking this situation, what I realized was that issue of respect was really big. And I had felt it was so disrespectful to drive like that with somebody where one person has so much more power and the other person has so little. The Vespa is pretty easily destroyed, whereas the person in the Cadillac Escalade, pretty safe in the situation. And I realized that there were some situations in my own life where I had let some boundaries be crossed, and I was feeling like the little Vespa. And it gave me an opportunity to really not only get curious about it, but also to get curious about what were ways I needed to take better care of myself, right? And by being radically curious about what came up for me in that situation, it allowed me to get really curious and discover what it was that was really the issue in my own life that did impact me, where there were boundaries being crossed and where I needed to be radically curious about solutions that would work for me in my life. And this brings me to one of the spectrums that I think is most important in our lives. There's a spectrum between safety and threat. And when a situation happens, it comes into our brain and through our eyes, ears, mouth, nose, touch, whatever. We're having this experience, and it immediately starts going through all of these filters in our brain, and we sort through it and suss out what is most important, because our brain can't manage all the information, so we filter it all down to what's most important based on past experiences, based on expectations, based on our biases, our beliefs, what we want to happen, our goals, our hopes, our dreams, all these things gets filtered through. And at the end of that, something gets shot out of that filtering system, and the first thing we just decide is how it fits on the safety to threat. Am I safe, or is there a threat I need to be concerned about? Now, mind you, this happens instantly. And if there's a threat, then how do I need to take care of myself? This is where fight, flight, freeze, and freak out come in. So I think you're probably very familiar with the ideas of fight, flight, freeze, or freak out. Freak out, right? Okay, so anyway, this spectrum of safety and threat is really important, because when you're feeling threatened, everything, you batten down your hatches, everything gets shut down in your brain so that all that you can do is be reactive. And if you're finding yourself being reactive a lot, there's something going on that you're feeling threatened by. And it's an opportunity, again, if you breathe into it, calm down your activated nervous system and start to chill out a little bit around whatever the situation is, so that you can start to think again. And when you start being able to think again, you can become radically curious. It is really hard to be in a state of threat or fear and a state of curiosity. Like, these two things you can be curious when you feel safe. It's very difficult to be curious when you feel threatened. And so paying attention to that. Which brings me to, how do you do that? And I alluded to it just a second ago, which is finding a way to breathe into it. So back to the car in the Vespa, and I get to my office and I lay down on the floor, I close my eyes, and I just start taking some breaths, deep breaths, so that I can start to calm down my whole internal system, where I've got all these chemicals racing in my mind, racing through my body, and start to slowly get into a calm mindset. It's from this place of calming myself down and getting to a place where my amygdala stops firing and my frontal cortex, my frontal lobes of my brain, can start to assess, get curious, notice what is going on here. And so I'm going to invite you that breath is probably your single most powerful tool you can use in your life. What is happening inside of me? So by breathing, you can bring yourself back into an open mindset. And that open mindset is that space of safety where you can start to be radically curious. So, good news. It's a tool you carry with you every day. You do it every few seconds, and breathing will help you keep yourself calm and sane. Be proactive, help you be curious, and help you feel safe. So stay curious, and talk to you soon. Cheers.